Okay, so have you ever, gotten that feeling? You know when you're about to do something online?
Hmm.
It could be like joining some new social media thing or even just hopping on the free Wi-Fi at a coffee shop.
Right.
And then suddenly, bam! You're hit with this wall of text.
Oh, yeah.
Those infamous terms and conditions.
Those
I
things.
swear they're written in some secret language just to make your eyes glaze over.
Yeah.
But what if we actually stop to think about what we're actually agreeing to when we click that little box?
Good point.
That's what we're diving into today, actually.
Oh, interesting.
We'll be looking at the 2013 documentary, Terms and Conditions May Apply.
Okay, oh, yeah, I've heard of that one.
It really pulls back the curtain on some pretty unsettling truths
Yeah.
about our online lives and how much we're giving up just for convenience.
It is remarkable, how this whole ritual of just clicking I agree without even a second thought
Right.
has become so ingrained in our digital routines. We've practically normalized data collection without really fully grasping what the consequences could be.
Yeah, and it's like we're signing away our digital rights with every click.
It's true.
So this documentary, Terms and Conditions May Apply, it pulls back the curtain on all of this.
Yeah.
And there's this one story that really stuck with me
Oh, yeah.
about a guy named Joe Lipari. It shows how these agreements we're talking about, they can have real-world consequences.
Okay.
And sometimes those consequences can be surprisingly serious.
Mm-hmm.
Joe Lipari's story is like a perfect example of how stuff we do online
Right.
can have real-life repercussions.
Yeah.
Like what we say and do online
Yeah.
isn't always just confined to the digital world,
Sure.
So Joe, he's living in New York City, and he makes a joke on Facebook referencing Fight Club.
Fight Club, the movie.
Yeah, exactly. You know that one, right?
Yeah.
It seemed harmless enough.
Sure.
Well, Facebook is constantly monitoring everything, right?
Right.
So his post gets flagged, and guess what? They actually reported it to the police.
Wow. Seriously?
Yeah, and because of that, police actually showed up at his door.
No way.
He ended up facing charges of making terroristic threats, all because of a joke.
That's insane.
I know, right? It really makes you think, how much are these companies actually tracking our every move?
That's the big question.
And what are they doing with all that data they collect?
Yeah.
It's kind of unsettling.
Definitely. And that's actually one of the things that the documentary explores.
Oh, really?
It looks into how that whole business model of free services really works.
Okay.
Like, we might not be paying with money for those services,
Right.
but we're certainly paying with something else, our personal information.
So basically, like that saying, if something online is free, you are the product.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good way to put it.
I've heard that before, but seeing it in the documentary makes it so real.
It definitely drives the point home.
So it's not just about, getting annoying targeted ads.
Right.
It's about the principle of the whole thing, you know?
Totally. It's about the constant collection of our information and who has access to it.
Right. And it's not just companies, is it? I mean, the documentary also touches on government surveillance too, right?
Absolutely. It shows how data collection by companies and government surveillance kind of intersect.
Wow.
Yeah, it even goes into Edward Snowden
Oh, wow.
and programs like PRISM, which I'm sure some people might not be familiar with.
Right.
So PRISM was this program that basically let the National Security Agency, the NSA, access data from all those big tech companies
Oh, wow. Directly.
directly. So essentially, the information that companies collect
Right.
can end up in the hands of government agencies.
So there's this whole other layer of data collection we don't even see.
Exactly. And that raises a lot of important questions about online freedom and privacy.
Yeah, what are the implications of all this? I mean, for our online freedom and our privacy, what does that mean?
That is the key question, and the documentary tries to get at that by talking to a bunch of different people.
Oh,
Like privacy advocates, legal scholars,
wow.
They even got Mark Zuckerberg himself,
No way.
just to give all these different perspectives on this whole data collection thing.
So it's not just a one-sided argument then?
Not at all. It shows how complicated this issue really is.
Yeah.
Because it's not just black and white, It's
Yeah.
not. There are no easy answers.
Right.
But the documentary does make one thing really clear.
Okay.
Being informed is the most important first step
Right.
towards making conscious choices about what we do online.
Okay, so we've talked about how widespread all these agreements are, the crazy language they use, and the potential consequences if we just blindly click agree. We've even talked about the government's role in all of this.
We have.
But where do we go from here? Like, does the documentary offer any hope for the future of privacy? I mean, is there anything good?
Well, it's not all doom and gloom.
Okay, good.
The documentary does talk about the growing movement for privacy protection. There are actually people and organizations out there actively trying to make things better.
Oh, that's good to hear.
They're pushing for stronger regulations, they want more transparency from companies, and they're advocating for better laws to protect our data.
Well, that's great. At least someone is doing something.
They are, and the documentary even talks about some things we can do ourselves, like using privacy-focused browsers.
I've heard of those, but I'll be honest, I'm not really sure how they work.
Well, those browsers are made with privacy as a priority.
Okay.
They actually limit how much data websites can collect about you. Like some of them block those tracking cookies that follow you everywhere online.
Oh, right, those things.
Yeah, and then there are VPNs, or virtual private networks.
VPNs. Yeah, those are supposed to be good for privacy, right?
Exactly. Think of a VPN like a secure tunnel for your internet traffic.
Oh, okay.
It basically encrypts all your data, making it much harder for companies and governments to track your activity.
So it's like putting on an extra layer of protection online.
Pretty much.
Interesting. I'll have to look into that more.
You should.
But it sounds like the main takeaway here is about us taking responsibility for our own digital privacy.
Right, yeah. The documentary really challenges us to think critically about our online behavior
Okay.
and the information we're sharing, sometimes without realizing it.
It's about making conscious choices instead of just clicking, I agree without a second thought. Wow, it really is amazing how much we take for granted online.
I know, right? It's remarkable how quickly we've all adapted to this constant exchange of data.
It really is.
But it's never too late to start asking questions and making more informed decisions.
You're right, we should always be questioning. This whole idea about online services being free is a powerful one. It really gets you thinking about what we're trading away.
It does. If online services aren't truly free, then what are we actually paying for them with?
That's the question. What is the true cost of our digital lives? We've been talking about this documentary, Terms and Conditions May Apply, and all the ways our data is collected online. It's a lot to think about. You mentioned that the documentary also explores potential solutions, like the fight for better privacy protections.
Yeah.
That's what I'm really curious about now.
Okay.
What can we actually do about this?
Well, the documentary does offer some hope.
Okay, good.
It highlights this growing movement for privacy protection,
Oh, that's good.
with individuals and organizations out there advocating for stronger regulations and more transparency from these companies.
So we're not just stuck accepting this constant data collection.
No, not at all.
There are people fighting back.
Absolutely. They're pushing for laws that would give us more control over our data and limit how it's used. One of the arguments they make is that we have laws to protect our privacy in the real world, so why not extend those protections online, right?
Yeah, that makes sense. But technology moves so fast. Can laws even keep up with all the new ways data is being collected?
That's a valid concern. It's a challenge for sure.
Yeah.
But the documentary emphasizes that it's a conversation we need to have, a fight worth fighting.
Right.
We need to push for change at a policy level,
Okay.
even if it feels like an uphill battle sometimes.
Yeah. It feels good to know that there are people out there trying to change things. But what about us as individuals? Can we actually make a difference?
Well, awareness is a powerful tool. Even just talking to your friends and family about these issues can help raise awareness, get more people thinking about their digital lives.
Yeah, just starting a conversation. Speaking of critical thinking, this whole idea that if something online is free, then you are the product
Right?
has really stuck with me.
Yeah.
What's the true cost of all this free stuff we use online?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? It's easy to get caught up in the convenience of all these online services, but we need to acknowledge that there's a price to pay. It might not be a monetary cost, but we're giving up something valuable, our privacy.
I've always kind of known that companies collect data, but seeing it laid out so clearly in the documentary, it made me realize the scope of it. It's not just what we post publicly. It's browsing history, location data, even private messages.
Yeah, the documentary uses these really powerful visuals to represent this massive amount of data that's being collected about us. It's a stark reminder of how much information is out there, often without our full awareness or consent.
Yeah, it is a bit unsettling, to say the least. It's like
Yeah.
we're swimming in data, but we don't even know where the currents are taking us.
And that lack of transparency is a major concern.
Yeah,
We need more control over our own data and the right to know how it's being used. That's a central argument that the privacy advocates in the film make.
right. Which brings us back to those terms and conditions.
Yeah.
They might be long and boring to read, but they hold the key to understanding what we're actually agreeing to. Even if we don't read every single word, maybe we should at least try to skim for the important points.
Absolutely. Even a little effort can go a long way. And there are actually tools out there to help us. Websites and browser extensions designed to analyze and break down those long agreements into more understandable language.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
So it's not just about being more cautious about what we share online, it's also about being more informed about what we're agreeing to in the first place.
exactly. Knowledge is power.
I like
The
that.
more we understand about how our data is collected and used, the better equipped we are to protect ourselves.
Knowledge is power. So we can educate ourselves, use privacy-focused browsers, maybe look into VPNs, be mindful of what we agree to. But what about those bigger solutions, like the systemic changes?
Right. Well, the documentary really emphasizes the importance of advocating for stronger privacy regulations. And it highlights examples of countries that have actually implemented stricter data protection laws, showing that change is possible.
So there is hope for a future where our online privacy is actually protected. It's not all doom and gloom.
The fight for privacy is definitely an ongoing one.
Yeah.
And it requires constant vigilance. But there are individuals and organizations around the world working really hard to protect our digital rights. It's about raising awareness, demanding accountability from companies, and pushing for meaningful change at a policy level.
One thing that really struck me in the documentary was the focus on whistleblowers.
Oh, yeah.
They often face huge risks to bring these issues to light.
Absolutely. The documentary highlights people like Edward Snowden, who revealed the extent of government surveillance programs, sparking a global conversation about privacy. Without these whistleblowers, we might never know about these practices.
It takes a lot of courage to speak truth to power, especially when the consequences can be so severe. But these whistleblowers play a critical role in holding powerful entities accountable.
It's a good reminder that we need to protect those who are willing to risk everything to expose wrongdoing and fight for our right to privacy. They're the unsung heroes of the digital age.
Yeah, their stories are inspiring. It shows that individuals really can make a difference. It's not just about governments and corporations. It's about all of us.
Exactly. The fight for privacy is a collective effort. The more we understand about the challenges, the more empowered we are to be part of the solution.
I'm feeling more optimistic now.
Mm.
We might not have all the answers, but at least we're asking the right questions
We are.
and starting to take action.
And that's a crucial first step. Awareness is the foundation for change.
Well, this conversation has given me a lot to think about. I feel like I have a much better understanding of the complexities of online privacy now and the steps we can take to protect ourselves.
Remember, the digital world is always evolving. What we know today might be different tomorrow.
Right.
It's an ongoing journey of learning and adapting.
It's about being proactive and staying informed. This deep dive into terms and conditions may apply has been invaluable. But before we wrap things up, there's one last thought I wanted to explore.
Oh, okay. I'm intrigued. What's on your mind?
We've talked about the trade-offs of the digital world, the risks to our privacy, the steps we can take to protect ourselves. But what about the bigger picture?
Okay.
What does the future hold for online privacy?
That's the big question, isn't it? The future of online privacy is uncertain,
Yeah,
but it's a future we have the power to shape.
that's a hopeful thought.
It is. Our choices matter. The decisions we make today will determine the kind of digital world we live in tomorrow.
So what does that mean for us right here, right now? What can we do to make sure there's a future where our privacy is respected and protected?
That's a question we'll explore as we continue our deep dive into terms and conditions may apply.
Okay, so we're back, ready to wrap up this deep dive into online privacy and data collection. Man, this exploration of terms and conditions may apply has really been eye-opening.
It really has, hasn't it? We've gone from those long agreements everyone just ignores to all these unsettling truths about data collection. We even got into potential solutions.
Yeah, and last time, you left us with a big question.
Right.
What's the future hold for online privacy? It's something I've been thinking about a lot.
It's a question on a lot of people's minds these days. The future's always uncertain, but one thing's for sure, the choices we're making right now, they're going to shape the digital world of tomorrow.
Okay, so let's talk choices. We've covered individual stuff like using privacy-focused browsers,
Yeah.
being careful what we share, actually understanding those terms and conditions.
Right.
But what about the bigger changes, the systemic ones? What needs to happen on a bigger scale to protect our privacy in the future?
The documentary argues we need to move past this idea of free online services. We are paying for them, not always with money directly, but with our personal information.
Yeah.
And we need to start seeing that information as valuable.
It's just about recognizing how much our data is worth.
Exactly. Not just something companies can take without consequences.
Yeah.
And that change needs to come from all sides, you know? Individuals being more aware of their data's value, companies being more open about how they use it, governments stepping in with stronger regulations to actually protect our privacy.
That's a lot. Sounds like we're talking about changing how we think about the internet entirely.
It's a big challenge, that's for sure. Change doesn't happen overnight. It takes everyone working together. Think about consumer rights, you know? That took decades of people pushing for it, laws being passed, just making the public aware. Online privacy is the same fight.
We're in it for the long haul.
It's a marathon, not a sprint. But each step we take, each time we talk about it, the choices we make, it brings us closer to a future where we're more secure online, our privacy is respected.
I like that. Gives me some hope that we can make a difference. But what does that look like, practically? What can we do to get to that future?
Well, we can start by backing those organizations fighting for stronger privacy laws. There are groups all over the world. They're pushing for legislation that gives us more control, holds companies accountable.
And on a personal level, besides those individual actions, what else can we do to be a part of this movement?
We can be more thoughtful about the services we use. Before we sign up for something, download an app, whatever, take a minute to look at their privacy policy. Are they upfront about how they use our data? Do they give us any control? We can choose to spend our money with companies that care about privacy, hold the others accountable.
It's kind of like voting with our wallets.
Exactly. We have more power than we realize. Making informed choices, supporting businesses that share our values, that sends a big message.
That privacy matters.
Yes, exactly. It's not just about protecting ourselves, but building the kind of digital world we actually want to live in.
Man, this whole deep dive has been so thought-provoking. I get the challenges of this digital age way better now, but I also feel hopeful that we can get through them, build a future where privacy is respected.
It's been great exploring all this with you. Remember, knowledge is power. The more we understand about how things work online, the better we can shape them.
Well said. So, to everyone listening out there, keep learning, keep asking those questions, keep pushing for better. The future of online privacy, it's in our hands.
And if you're looking for a place to start, we highly recommend checking out Terms and Conditions May Apply. Powerful film, really makes you think about your own digital life.
Until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and stay vigilant.